right, we are here at my outdoor worm bin, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to harvest this. And one of the things I wanted to show you was just kind of how deep and how big my 20-gallon outdoor fabric pot is here, so that you can see just how much we actually put in here. And it's not a whole lot. So if you're wondering, how big this is going to be, it can be as small as you want. And you can see in here, it's very wide. And it does a pretty good job of being able to accommodate a whole bunch of material, and you can bring it probably about halfway up, because then what you want to be able to do is fold in the sides like this. So let me get set up so we can harvest real quick. All right, so this right here is one of the trays for my VermiHut. I run it with 4 trays, but it came with 5. And each of these holes in here is 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So what I do is I just kind of take around the sides, and then I'll put it in just like that. And then I just kind of grab around the sides and shake it like that. And all the castings are going to go through those holes. And the bigger stuff, like the shredded cardboard that hasn't been eaten yet, and the worms will stay on top. And then from there, I can just take this stuff, I'll put it in the basin that I usually leave on top of my worm bin. And then I just repeat over and over again. So let me do that real quick. All right, so check it out. After 4 kind of shakedowns of castings, look at this beautiful worm castings in here. Just have a couple little pieces of shredded cardboard and some other stuff. But while all these castings are in storage, whatever worms are left, if there's any cocoons that turn into babies, they will grow up and they will eat what is left. So let's go ahead and go under my lanai in some shelter, and let's feed this worm bin. So all the stuff that was left over from sifting, or the overs, I put back in here. And I just want to point out a couple things that we're finding in here, like this and this. This is some fungi or mushrooms that kind of grew up from the moistened bedding between our last feeding. And the last feeding that we're in here is when we compared burying food scraps in the garden versus the worm bin. And let's go ahead and dig under into that center part, which I didn't get to, and see if any of the food that we put in here last is in here. And last time we were in here, after we put in some shredded cardboard, we put in some shrimp shells along with some mushrooms that had gone bad. And then we added an additional shredded cardboard layer. Next, we added in a little bit of experimental food in the form of dried goji berries, and we're going to look for those. Then we put in some of our more normal food scraps like banana peels, carrots, half an eggplant, some salad stuff like lettuce and a little onion. And finally, we put in a frozen potato, carrot tops, and some kale, followed by our homemade worm chow, spent coffee grounds, and eggshell grit that I pulverized in my magic bullet blender. And I always finish up with lots of shredded cardboard on top. So as I dig right in here, there are lots of worms in that feeding zone, and that is fantastic. And I'm seeing a lot of tiny little beads, and I don't know if that is kind of the seeds within the goji berries or what, but it looks like a lot of tiny seeds, maybe from blueberries. I'm not sure, but let's see if we can pull out anything identifiable. And this is fantastic. Look at all those worms right in the feeding zone. I really can't tell any food scraps. The only thing that's different to me, like I said, are all these tiny little things, these little seed looking things between my 2 thumbs there. And oh, something right here. Let's see. Oh, this is that potato. Oh, got to be careful when you put potatoes in your worm bin, because if you don't freeze them first, a lot of times they'll grow, and clearly they like it. It doesn't have a smell, which is good, because I really cannot stand the smell of rotten potato, but clearly the worms are very interested in it. So I'll just kind of put that to the side, and let's see if there's anything else under here that we can find from any of that stuff I talked about. The normal salad stuff or stuff from my garden, I don't expect there to be too much in here. Maybe some kale, because I've noticed that has taken a little bit longer. We've got something to compare the kale to that I'm going to put in this time around. Just another kind of tiny worm ball around something that I don't even know what it was. But they did a really good job for 21 days. It's not like there's a whole lot of food in here. So what I'm going to do is kind of make a hole, and we will start out with our feeding. And of course, as always, very important to put bedding anytime you put food scraps in. They need both.
I think that potato smelled.
It did?
Yeah, I could get a Good whiff.
So in we go in with some shredded cardboard and shredded paper. I usually don't use too much shredded paper, but we've mixed it up real well. The reason I don't like shredded paper is because it can tend to mat down, but it's got a lot of area with this shredded cardboard to kind of bulk up and let some airy spaces in there. So let's go ahead and jump in with some of the staples that I always put in my worm bins, and that's some lettuce stalks along with some strawberry tops. Got a little bit of onion, not a whole lot, and we've got some broccoli stems here, and of course, got some great banana peels right there. Now we'll jump in with some more stuff. Looks like a lot of strawberry tops, kind of nasty, rotten, looks like a cucumber. We've got some Cheeto from our saltwater fish tank. That's just some algae that grows in the bottom to help in the ecosystem within the saltwater fish tank. And then we've got another potato. This is actually a seed potato. I pulled out our potatoes, had a pretty good little crop, and this one came out, and it is the original. I think there's some holes in it because I really want to make sure the worms can get into there. I do not want a rotting potato, and the executive producer informed me that yes, that potato did smell a little bad because she smelt it. So we got some more broccoli stalks. We've got a tangerine here that I'll make sure is open up, and just a really good colorful feeding here.
That's a zucchini.
So I also have some experimental foods, and real quick, the executive producer said that's a zucchini right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some paper towels on top just so I can make sure I see this experimental food. And these have been soiled by some mead that my son has been brewing, and he's doing a good job of that. If any of you out there make your own mead, let me know in the comments. And we're just going to put some trail mix right in there. And I also want to put these M&Ms. The executive producer is not happy with me that I'm feeding these to the worms because she'd rather eat them. But there we go. I want to see if the worms get to those. So next we're going to go in with our worm chow, and then I'm just going to spread this lightly over the whole bin just like that. And then we'll go in with some used coffee grounds, just an opportunity for me to get these into the garden. Really good food source for them. It's super fine and small so they can eat it right away, and the microbes get to it quick too. And then we'll go in with some eggshell grit. You'll see me put a whole lot on here, and the worms really don't need that much. They're going to reuse it. It's just an opportunity for me to get as many eggshells as I can into the garden and keep me from putting them in the trash can itself. So next we'll add some more bedding on top, and this looks like a pretty dry feeding, not the food itself, but all the bedding. But with this outdoor bin, what I'm able to do is as soon as I put it in place or put it right over my garden, oh, there's the worms are going to have fun. Put it right in my garden. I will water it in, and then I'll put it back in its place. And when I water it in, all the shredded cardboard is going to get wet, and as the food melts, it also is going to release its moisture back into the bin. So you see me put in some dry stuff, and you also see me put in a whole lot of food. That's because I have a whole lot of worms in here, and this bin is about 4 years old. So this thing is just teeming with all kinds of microbes, and it is a very mature, healthy bin. If you have a brand new bin and you only have like 1,000 worms, you do not want to put anywhere near that much food in there. So next for volume, I'm just going to dump in a whole lot of shredded cardboard and paper here. And this is going to help me bulk it up because as you saw at the beginning of the video, this 20-gallon bin is only about a third full, and I want to try and get it to about halfway. So let me add more just like that. All right. There we go, just like that. And the water that I use is from my rain barrel. If you need to, you can use tap water. It's not like tap water is antiseptic, but it's preferred to use something that's either sat out so no chlorine is in there. I'm not sure how to get the chloramines out, but rainwater is kind of your best bet. So if you want to know the origin story of this bin and how I got my original worms for it, check out this video right here. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing fantastic. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now. We are going to harvest this up, but what I did want to show you is
No.